Hi, everyone. Welcome to the last day of the 2025 annual Sikh Summit. Thank you all for being here. We have to start off today our own Inderjeet Singh with United Sikhs. And before we kick it off today at 2:30 with a staff member of Congressman Swozi's, um, staff member of Congressman Swazi, who we're excited to have, we're going to hear a few words from Inderjeet. So, Inderjeet, I know you are currently on site right now, so we would love if you are able to start us off with an introduction and tell us a little bit more about your work and what you're up to right now.
Yes, thank you so much, Simran, and Waheguru Ji Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh, everyone. My name is Inderjeet Singh, and I'm the community liaison here for United Sikhs in New York City. So some of the work that I do with United Sikhs in New York City, it's basically ranges from connecting the resources that United Sikhs provides in collaboration and in partnership with our city, state, and federal agencies and getting those resources to the community and to make sure that like the needs of the community that are there are addressed, and that we here at United Sikhs know what the community needs. Now we go about doing those through like a lot of community outreach events, to like different health initiatives, through like food distributions. So like if you're from New York City or from Long Island, I'm sure you've seen me, and you've probably seen myself and my team at different gurdwaras almost every Sunday at throughout Queens and Long Island. Yeah. So during my time here at United Sikhs, we've carried out like a variety of different work that has ranged from community upliftment to direct advocacy work as well. I have worked on a lot of cases in New York City that have involved members of the Sikh community that have been like victims of hate crimes, that have been victims of discrimination, and we've also done advocacy work that is not directly related to like a hate crimes case, but also related to just where we have felt that these steps were long overdue for the Sikh community in New York City. Like an example of that I will give, a very recent example, would be that recently, this year actually, for the first time ever, Sikhs have been in New York City since for like over 100 years. But this year, for the first time ever, we were able to organize and have Vaisakhi, which many might consider the most important day in Sikhism, to be celebrated at Gracie Mansion. Now, Gracie Mansion is the official residence of the New York City mayor. Now, the fact that Vaisakhi was celebrated at Gracie Mansion marked a very historic event, because up until now we've had celebrations, and different communities have been honored at Gracie Mansion. But all these years, and the Sikh community, though we have such high contributions to the overall betterment of New York City and to the fabric of New York City, the Sikh community was never officially recognized, or in a way like given its long awaited due, ever until this event, where we had like the New York City mayor, we had like state senators, state assemblymen from Albany come down to Gracie Mansion. We had a plethora of city council members, and they all came together and they recognized all the contributions that the Sikh community has done for New York City, and the challenges that Sikhs face and continue to face in New York City, and how they can be addressed. Some of the other advocacy work that we have done have include addressing hate crimes, which we have led rallies at the steps of Queensborough Hall. We've met directly with we've organized and directly met with New York City, with the mayor of New York City. I remember last year there was a case regarding where a Sikh taxi driver, like a very young Sikh taxi driver, was unjustly arrested at JFK Airport by the Port Authority police because he was carrying his ceremonial kirpan. Now, a kirpan is like an integral part of any Sikh, that it's like, it's not something that they could remove, and but the police did arrest him for that. We went ahead and organized a meeting directly with the director of New York City Port Authority, and where we addressed these concerns, and told him that, hey, like, this is a kirpan, and this is its significance, and it's one of the 5 Ks in Sikhi, and you have to make sure that Sikh drivers going forward do not have any sort of challenges where if a police officer sees a Sikh with a kirpan, like the Sikh driver should not have to worry about being arrested. So those are just some of the advocacy work that we have continued to do in New York. Apart from that, we also do a lot of community outreach, which includes, when I first joined in, and it was right after COVID, we conducted like a mass vaccination drive at the Gurdwaras, the first of its kind, in partnership with New York City Department of Health, where like people, where the vaccines were directly administered at the gurdwaras. Especially the target audience was so like the elderly, and particularly mainly the elderly, and those who could not directly go to did not have means to go to like a vaccination site, or just there were like long lines everywhere. So we directly got them to the gurdwara, and we had these like long vaccination drives at the gurdwara, where the elderly and those who had pre-existing health conditions were all vaccinated. Some of the other things that we do currently, we do like a food distribution, where we serve food to needy and homeless New Yorkers every month, twice a month. It was actually once a month originally, but now, because the need has been so great, and food insecurity is apparently very, very, like, there's apparently a lot of food insecurity out there. New York City Speaker Adrienne Adams actually addressed this in her in one of her speeches, that people don't know, but there is a lot of food insecurity in New York City. And if you ever come to our food distributions, you'll see we often serve up to like 250 meals in one drive. So yes, so we're not just addressing the needs of the Sikhs in New York City, but also of non-Sikhs as well. I remember 2 years ago in 2023, when there was a very famous infamous hate crime in New York City, in where an elderly Sikh man was actually beaten to death in front of his wife on the highway because of his appearance. We organized a meeting directly with the U.S. congressman that represented that area, Congressman Gregory Meeks, to make sure that the police and the DA's office carried out a thorough investigation of this case, and that justice was given to Jasmeer Singh's family. Just last month, after almost a year of the case of the trial going on, finally the person who attacked and killed Jasmeer Singh was actually found guilty of a hate crime and sentenced to 10 years. So these are just some of the advocacy work and the community outreach work. I'm just literally just giving you some examples right off, just off of the go, that United Sikhs does in New York City, and has continued to do, to make sure that the Sikh community is not just that the Sikh community is not just there, but in fact that the Sikh community has a seat at the table, that no decisions, or whatever the decision that the people running New York City take, that the Sikh community is well represented represented, and we make sure that that we continue to uplift our community members. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you need to hop off right now?
I'm
How are
okay.
things
No, I
today?
could say.
You're okay?
Yeah.
I actually have a question for you, and this isn't to out you, but we do have people I know here and throughout our network as well who are interested in pursuing law and policy, and I know you're pursuing law. Is that correct?
Yes, I just finished my first year of law school, about to start my
Congratulations.
second year in August. Yeah.
Well, congrats. With that, I wanted to ask you how you find that studying law goes hand in hand with the work that you do.
Oh, that's actually a great question. So after I graduated from college, I was not really sure what field I wanted to pursue. It was actually doing advocacy work as a community outreach liaison in UNITEDSIKHS that I found my passion to go to law school and become and get involved, because once there's only so much that I've come to realize, in my personal opinion, that there's only so much advocacy you could do from the outside, and you have, once you are actually in the into the system, you could actually have a lot of impact. You could have a lot of you can have a lot greater impact. So especially as a lawyer, if there's like a much need for lawyers in our community, like human rights lawyers and those lawyers that are interested in doing work in public interest, that with their expertise they could make such a great you could make such a greater impact than what you might not be able to do if you're just like a regular person that's doing advocacy work. Not saying that you can't, but you have a much more greater expertise in helping your community if you have that background in law.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's such helpful context to know what it is you're fighting for on such a direct level.
Yes.
I want to open up the floor to questions as well. Again, don't be shy. Just turn off mute and feel free to jump in. Or if not, if you feel more comfortable utilizing the chat, absolutely put it in the chat.
Hello.
Hmm.
I was just wondering, I had a question for Indrajit. And it was just what inspired you to do law, and like what made you what action led you to be wanting to become and doing something in law?
Yeah, so thank you so much, Mr. Nivaj Dillon. So actually, once again, my working with the community with UNITEDSIKHS actually literally inspired me to go to law school. It's because of, I saw that there's such a great need for advocacy in our community and in New York City in general. And if you have that legal expertise as a lawyer, you could have a much greater impact for the upliftment of the community at large. It could be as an immigration lawyer, as a criminal lawyer. Like I've literally seen, I can't tell you how many cases I've dealt with where I've seen like elderly Sikh people attacked, mugged, beaten up, robbed, and now you go to people in power and you're like, okay, how are you going to address this? What are you going to do so this does not happen again? And the type of responses that you get, it's like, man, I wish someone that was, that had a better um understanding and even like a better passion to make a change was in this situation. So people that are currently, attacking people or like harming elderly people would not be walking the streets of New York City, because at the end of the day, if someone has a proven track record that they are most likely going to commit a crime, and then maybe they should not, maybe they shouldn't be out there, because at the end of the day we are putting like our elderly and our basic primarily it's like the elderly at risk. So that really affected me and inspired me to go into this profession, and it basically gave me like my like helped me discover my passion for what kind of life I want to live, which is in community service. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was actually such an amazing reason. So thank you so much for sharing
Thank
that.
you. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Inderjeet, I'm just wondering, in your service with the United States, what do you think would be the most challenging case that you've handled, or the most challenging situation that we have by far for United States?
Yes,
What do
thank
you
you.
think, and what do you
Thank
think,
you.
and if there's something that we can do more to at least fill the gap with these challenges?
Yes, thank you so much, Christina. So the most challenging case for me that I felt that the United Six, which like I felt that the as a member of United Six, which I saw as face, was the case of Jasmeer Singh. Because as a Sikh American, someone who's been in the US in New York City post 9/11, we knew in our hearts exactly why Jasmeer Singh was attacked. We knew what the reason was, but like the people, like the officials, like the Queen's DA's office, like the DA's office, for like the DA's office, the NYPD being the other one, they they did not at first have this they did not feel it was a hate crime. So we had to mobilize the entire community, in the entire Sikh community in New York City, which included having rallies both at the main Gurdwara in Richmond Hill, which included having rallies at Queensborough Hall, which included gathering community members, taking them to the DA's office to meet with the DA, and basically make her understand why we felt that this was not just a random attack. This was a hate crime based on Mr. Jasmeer Singh's Sikh Swaroop. So that entire process, as you see, the attack on Jasmeer, the case of Jasmeer Singh happened in October of 2023, right after October 7th. It happened in October 2023, and the person was found guilty last month in 2025. So, and it was very, I had an opportunity to speak with Jasmeer Singh's family, and just to see the impact that we were able to make in that particular case was very fulfilling. But obviously, even I personally felt the sentencing was not enough, and there should have been a harsher sentence. But um, but that just like shows us that there's a lot more work to be done. Thank you.
Mhm. Any more questions? I have one. I know you're on site right now, and I'm wondering, given the humanitarian aid work that United States does, how often do you can speak to your own experience or to United States at large from what you know, but how often does United States travel to disaster sites, and if you could speak more about like what's physically done on the ground, where they go and what they do, I'd be interested to hear.
Yeah, so I actually wish that, thank you so much for the question, Simran. I actually wish that there was a greater awareness for all the disaster relief work that United Six actually does. I feel if more people in the community knew about the United Six role, we in turn, United Six in turn would be able to help out a lot more people. Because at the end of the day, this is a nonprofit. It is a charity-based organization. So yeah, I've been able to, travel to like Florida for hurricane relief. I've been able to travel to Louisiana for hurricane relief. Even it got to go to like Mississippi for disaster relief. So it's very eye-opening that that the work that we did there, the disaster relief work we did there, immediately following these hurricanes that hit there. This was like I believe in 2023 and 2024. Where I met volunteers from all over the country, and you got to see like even in a country as advanced as the US, when a disaster strikes immediately afterwards, it basically turns into like, what I would consider like a war zone, because, you know, like you wouldn't believe some of these places when we got to immediately following these disasters that we were in America, because there was no electricity, There was no like, the stores were closed. You couldn't really drive like straight down on the streets because the trees and everything, it was just like, it was like chaos. And we were able to, and United Six, the as part of like the disaster relief team, we were able to set up these disaster relief camps and serve food to like over 1,000 people a day, like over 1,000 meals a day. And I think, and no, I know that even now there's a disaster relief mission going on in Texas. So, I've been very grateful and appreciative that as a member of this wonderful organization, I've been able to do work and make an impact that I personally never knew was possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Off of that, you talked about work in the US. I'm curious, does United Six, do they ever go on the ground globally as well, or is most of the work based in the US? I know there are chapters in other countries, but I was just curious about that.
No, definitely. There's like I actually remember doing a fundraiser at different Gurdwaras when the floods in Punjab happened,
Mhm.
and we were like our disaster relief teams, and there was actually two ambulances and that were going all over the affected areas in Punjab, and so yeah, so a lot of work actually you could go onto the website. A chunk of the work that United States does actually takes place in Punjab, which I personally feel is crucial. And there's also like the team has there's been they've been able to do disaster relief work in Kerala, which is like a part in which is a state in southern India during the floods there. I've seen the teams go to like Haiti and just other parts as well. And look up exactly. But one of the great things that I do that this organization does is helping and trying to preserve the historical Sikh sites that are currently in Pakistan. Because there's, as most people might not, a lot of people might not know, there's a big chunk of Sikh historical sites that are in Pakistan that are actually abandoned. And these are historical sites, and they're our history, our culture, and we need to make sure that these sites are preserved, and and they're like in ruins now. So that too, that some of the work that the organization is doing is to help preserve those historical sites there. So yes, yeah, thank you. We
Mhm.
actually tried sending aid into Gaza, but due to the current situation that's gone on there, it's not been possible. But there have been attempts to send aid into Gaza as well.
Mhm. Oh, wow.
Yeah, even when United Six was in Spain for the floods
Yes.
recently, and Simran, you were mentioning earlier about like how United Six helps out in other countries. This is why I encourage everyone here to go onto the website. Maybe Christina can actually add this also into the chat of joining United Six as a volunteer.
I got.
So all of our volunteers that are, abroad, out in other countries, this is how we all come together. And this is how we all come together to make a difference. And when something disaster strikes, everyone knows United Six is there to help out one another. So I think you guys should definitely sign up, get your friends to sign up.
Mhm.
And then again, how she was talking about, other chapters, let's get things started in your respective states, counties, cities, wherever you're at, and let's create change all throughout the world.
I just wanted to add one more thing, that if anyone in that's attending this summit is based out in New York City or Long Island or even Jersey, like just wanted to tell you about this event that we're doing this weekend. So to mark the 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 birth anniversary uh, of our eighth Guru Harkishan Sahib Ji, we're actually going to be doing a Shabil Seva in the heart of New York City, in Central Park. We're gonna do Kirtan in Central Park, and then afterwards we're gonna have Langar and do Shabil Seva for the community at large to come and to raise awareness about like what Guru Har Krishan Sahib Ji did, why he passed away, and what was the message that he was trying to bring about into the world. So if anyone here is based in New York City, Jersey, or Long Island, please come to Central Park this Saturday, and we're going to be there. Thank you.
Great. And will that information, just so people have that in writing, will that be on the volunteer website as well?
Yes, yes. And once
Okay.
we're preparing the flyer right now.
Mhm.
Once it's all prepared, I will share it, and then our social media team will post it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Inderjeet, the work that you're doing, the relief efforts that United Six is doing, is it captured on the website? The kinds of work we have done as a community.
Yeah. So just
And
so yeah.
secondly, I wanted to ask you, as a young person, how do you try to get young Sikhs involved in the community outreach, getting into sort of the Sikhi path and anything like that? Are you working in any direction with the younger community? Because a lot
Yeah,
of the
I
kids,
mean,
it's hard to pull them into it, and they don't understand it. They don't really know what they're truly missing out. So I'm curious, since you're a young guy, if you've talked to friends and other kids in the community, gurdwaras, that you go to, if you've tried to get them involved, and your successes or failures around that.
yes, thank you so much for that question, Ms. Amrit. So yeah, firstly, all the work that we do, and I see our next speaker, Ms. Bands, has joined, so I will be wrapping this up quickly. So yeah, so all the work that we do, it's actually on our website and also on our social media account. So I would encourage everyone to follow us on at United Six. And secondly, I feel like, to reach out to youngsters, we like, since I feel like growing up, being like, like growing up in America, we understand the culture much better in terms of like how to connect with the youth, something that maybe our elders at the Gurdwara, maybe they don't, maybe. So there's been that disconnect, but I feel like, since we have an understanding for the culture, we could connect them to, to come do seva, and and tell them that, hey, what like the meaning of seva is, why this is important, what's the purpose behind it, why it was started, and just do our best to teach them that, the impact that we're having is not, we're basically carrying on the lineage and the legacy of our forefathers who started something, that was revolutionary, and for the betterment and upliftment of not just one people, but for the betterment and upliftment of the entire world together. And the only goal is just to leave this world a better place than you found it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. We
Thank you so much. Thank you.
appreciate your time. And we have our next speaker from the Office of Congressman Swozi here to speak. If everyone wants to take just a minute break to stretch, walk around, we only have, let's see, we have a minute left before we are going to get started. In the meantime, I will go ahead and introduce Dechkaran Kaur Benji. So Dechkaran is a legislative assistant at the House of Representatives based in DC, who is with Congressman Tom Swozi. Previously, she was a judicial clerk at Judge Jones Bozier and also Congressman Adam Kinzinger. And we're so happy to welcome you today. Thank you so much. If you want to give an introduction to give yourself even more context, we would love to hear from you.
Sure. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you very much for that introduction. So I work right now as a legislative assistant for Congressman Tom Swazi. Prior to this, I was I can talk a little bit about my issue areas as well as we go on, but I handle the judiciary. I handle part of the foreign affairs portfolio. So anything to do with India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, as well as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, as well as anything that touches Buddhists, Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims. I've started handling a bit of the Armenia portfolio as well. In addition to that, I handled the judiciary, so anything that has to do with judiciary issues and voting rights, things like that. I handle children and families, and my boss works on the Ways and Means Committee. I handle a little bit of healthcare, so things that don't touch Medicare, Medicaid, as well as let's see, what else is there? Judiciary, healthcare, guns. That's another one. So gun violence is another one of my issue areas, and one that I have a lot of fun with. I handle animal rights as well. So I like having that and a little bit of human rights. So oh, and Homeland Security. Prior to becoming a ledge assistant, I was actually with Congressman Swazi before. So I don't know if you know the history of this seat, but George Santos was in his seat for about a year. So during that year, I clerked at the Superior Court of Washington, D.C. for Judge Jones Bozier. And prior to that, I was with Congressman Swazi as well. And throughout my life, I volunteered with United Sikhs, and I was actually where all of you are. I went to the Civil Rights Academy in before I started my LLM. So before going to law school, I went to law school at Washington and Lee and then at Georgetown. I was a member of the annual Sikh Summit, so in 2018. And back then it was in person, so you guys are doing a great job. And I really love that you're introducing Sikh youth to legislation. That's awesome. My first time ever doing advocacy was with United Sikhs. We went to the Rayburn buildings, we visited different offices. So I used to be a participant. And yeah, I've been with United Sikhs since I was a little kid, and my dad is Tejinder Bains. He also used to volunteer with United Sikhs, and I was humanitarian counsel for United Sikhs for about a couple of years. I worked on the Afghan resettlement project, so I know a lot of the people here. And you guys are in the right place, and you're doing great work.
Thank you. I want to open up the floor to questions. Again, feel free to unmute yourself, jump in as you wish, or you can utilize the chat. I have a question. I guess I'd love to hear more about your transition. You said you've been with United Sikhs for quite some time. Is that what inspired your journey into legislation now? I'd love to hear a little bit more about that journey.
Sure, of course. So actually, what inspired me to I guess that question's twofold. One, what inspired me into law and Sikhi. So I grew up with my dad as a public defender, and I saw him do really hard work. And public defense is something you really have to have a heart for because sometimes the cases are very upsetting. So when I first got into Sikhi, I was about maybe 11 years old, 12 years old. And as I matured in Sikhi, I went through an age where I met some people who, and unfortunately, there are a lot of people in our community who do wrong prachar, who teach the wrong things to our children. So some people taught me that the more I study, the more I'll go far away from Sikhi. So for a long time, I mean, what else do you need to tell a little teenager? So I ran with that. I had an excuse, kids don't want to do their homework as it is. So and when I got older, I went to Fatehgarh Sahib and I met a Gursikh there who really taught me that studying is how we do seva. And that's what inspired me to actually, I did a 180, study became my life. So I ended up going to law school for free, going into law. And then I was supposed to do an internship with in The Hague with criminal law. But because of the political situation, that got canceled. So I ended up being placed with Congressman Adam Kinzinger's office. And I fell in love with the Hill there. It was so much fun that I decided I want to do this full term, and the Sikhi inspired me because this is a place where you can make change, and that's the beauty of America. We really are connected to our constituents, and change happens on the ground level. And it is what the people want at the end of the day, because the legislators, they follow what the people want. The members of Congress, they're connected to their constituents. So that's what I love about the House of Representatives. It really is a place where we connect with the public of America, which is something I like. But so I can say Sikhi inspired me, and as I got into Sikhi, I started working with United Sikhs more, and that built a base. Like the work that I did with the Afghanistan refugees was very, it taught me a lot. We ended up working on relocating them, and just the learning how to go through different channels and things like that. So it was very crucial. I learned a lot, and they're doing great seva, but I do carry so I do carry the things I learned at United Six with me here. And I can give an example of how much, and I think Brother Inderjeet said this right before me, how much service is connected to everywhere you go, whether you're a teacher, you're a lawyer, you're a doctor. You have to always carry that spirit of service everywhere with you. And sometimes, like, I'll show you all something that reminds me every time, why I'm here. And I don't know if you can see this. Does anyone know what this is? I keep it on my desk. Anyone want to guess? Any of our Sikh brothers and sisters? Any of the youth? All right, I'll give you a hint. It's a wall. But anyone know which wall it is?
Mm-mm.
So this is are you going to say something?
Somebody put it in the chat. Jaliyawala.
Maybe,
Oh,
yeah.
uh, not quite, but the next one is correct. Sabzade. So this is the wall of Sirhind. And I always keep this photo on my desk to remind me of, the spirit of service and why I'm here. So when the younger Sabzade, everyone probably knows that history, they were bricked alive because of, their mission, because they stood up for human rights. And at 7 and 9, when they were bricked alive, they had the choice either to give up their life or to side with the regime. So they were told that after you die, your cause is going to die. There's going to be no one to fight after you, and you should just, agree with us and give up your fight for human rights. So these are the words that they said. Dunya se zalmo ka nishan tak bachayenge. So they said that after our execution, the sixth of the future will rise up, and they will fight towards the goal of eliminating cruelty and spreading kindness. So that spirit of service, which comes from that story, those roots. So these words actually mean dunya se jalmo ka nishan tak mitayenge, which means that the Khalsa will come and get rid of every nishani, every inch of cruelty. So challenging the cruelty, challenging darkness, helping people, helping those who are underprivileged. That's very much the spirit that, we are taught, that's in line with the mission of United Six. So this is something I always keep with me to as a reminder. But in short, to answer your question, that's how my work with United Six, my identity as a Sikh, as a Sikh woman, really okay. Is the volume still on? I don't know if my mic went mute. Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So that's how my identity as a Sikh woman really informs everything I do here. And, as you know, Sikhism is very much in line with the principles our country was founded on. So the freedom for all people, religious freedom, justice, making sure that no one's rights are truncated or oppressed. So those things go hand in hand, and that's something that United Six also has, stood for.
Thank you so much. Any other questions?
Yeah. I'm I'd like to ask, in the entirety of the summit, we were told that as a civil rights organization, we should work as a community. We should advocate and protecting the rights of the community, of the Sikh community, more particularly. We have had efforts to work with Congress representatives. What do you think would be the best strategy or the best effort that we can put up so that our Congress representatives will really give attention to what we are suggesting, the proposals, our legislative agenda, probably?
Sure. So one of the best things you can do is organization. Congressmen listen to their constituents. You need to find people in every congressional district. And a mistake I see a lot of groups doing is they'll put so much of their energy preaching to one side. And sometimes, like for example, we get constituents who will come here and they'll go to Democratic offices and preach for Medicaid. While that's important that we know, but where are the offices that are already going to vote to like save Medicaid? So what I would say is you need a bipartisan approach. You have to go to the other side, and it should be the constituents going to the congressman so that they know this is what our people want. This is what's important to our community. So if you organize in a way where you have constituents from every congressional district and those constituents reach out to their congressmen and let their voice be heard, the representatives listen. I mean, that's something that a lot of when a community is new or they're immigrants and they're just learning about American civics and politics, that doesn't pop out automatically. And a lot of groups will go to, they'll only preach to the side that they think they're going to listen. So bipartisan approach and organize in a way that it's the constituents talking to the member.
Thank you. Any
You're
more
welcome.
questions? Again, feel free to jump off of mute and jump right in whenever.
Now, Karen, how receptive have the government officials been to Sikh-based needs and issues? How receptive?
I found it's very receptive. Like, for example, any issue that the Sikhs have had, the advocacy has gone very far. We've had a few different things come up. I mean, one of them was the transnational repression this year. So there was a bill in the Committee on Homeland Security that got forward very much. The Department of State is also handling the situation. Other issues include the right to the kirpan and even things that come up, such as, for example, just one of the most recent incidences that happened with the Sikh community with the Rep. Mary Miller. If you, any of you remember, she made a comment that was both Islamophobic and against Sikhs. And we had a whole bunch of representatives from both side of the aisle, including Representative Swazi, who was one of the first voices to oppose that comment and raise it, because that comment was deleted shortly thereafter. But thankfully, the representatives were able to share it and bring it to attention. So when we look at the Sikh needs, a lot of them are, and it's because of groups like you, because you come and you make people aware. I remember when I was in the position that the youth are in now, one of the biggest issues was the no-fly list and transnational repression and the Indian government putting political dissenters on that list. So that was one of the big issues. Another big issue was the right to the kirpan, and United Sikhs was part of the advocate groups, which helped get a inclusion for that. So they're very receptive. And as you might know, Congressman Swazi has been a great friend of the Sikh community for a long time. He made history as the first congressman to go to Pakistan and visit Gurdwara Kartarpur Sahib. And I don't know, have you seen his press release on it or no? Otherwise, I can put that in the chat for you.
No.
But he said beautiful words about his trip there, and I'll just grab it and put it in the chat as well. But when he came back, he said that in foreign affairs, when you hear about India and Pakistan, and that's one of the, if you look at that feud. It's one of the worst feuds in the world because, and especially it flared up now. And when he went to Pakistan, that was right around the time of the flare up. It happened a little bit after. But when he
To
went,
Kashmir?
yes, the
Mm.
Kashmir attacks. So his trip to Pakistan was just in April. So I'm just going to share as I talk about his remarks, I just shared the press release in the chat as well. But when he went there, he said it was nothing short of, miraculous that two countries that fight so much, and there's this place where Indians and Pakistanis can both go and visit each other without a visa. And the reason for that is the universal message of Guru Nanak Dev Ji that transcends religion, that transcends culture. And just the pyar and satkar of Guru Nanak Dev Ji was able to create this. So that's something that if you tell someone that Indians and Pakistans have this place of peace, no one would believe it without seeing it. So he went to Kartarpur Sahib, and another big thing he did was in the official record statement, released he released a record statement about Mata Gujri ji. And I can put the link for that there too. It's in the official congressional record. So it was her 400th anniversary in December. So along with the day of the Sabjade Shahidi, he released that statement and honored her as the first Sikh woman who faced jail and fought for democracy and fought for human rights. So this office is very receptive to the needs of the Sikh community, to answer your question, as are many other offices. But it's also important that the community stays active with politicians and gets their word out. But our office is, we're happy to meet with United Sikhs today, and we are always very open and we are very ecstatic to interact with the Sikh community. And I'll just share that record statement for you also.
What about in some of the southern states like Florida and some of the places where there are lesser Sikhs and lesser Indians? I mean, the big cities, I would suspect that you've got highly educated people for the most part, and there's a higher level of thinking sometimes with the people who are a little more educated, but there's the southern states. Have you any experience about the receptivity of Congress people in the southern states?
Yes. So at the end of the day, actually, you would be pretty shocked. There are a lot of members, even in those areas, who understand some of the issues. And if they don't, it's important that, like, let's say there's a place in the United States with no Sikh constituent. I would still say reach out to the office and educate them, because you can find issues that affect Sikhs very strongly and they affect other communities. Like, for example, hate crimes. And a lot of the work that, not only is there the Sikh caucus, but there's also the Congressional and Pacific Islander caucus, and they fight for a lot of Sikh issues. So if you broaden a little bit, even, I mean, one thing I've noticed is Sikh immigration in the last 10 years has really increased in the United States. So there are very few areas left or congressional districts left where there isn't a single Sikh. But even if there is one district, usually as long as you study the member before and see what their priorities are and they align, you'll still be able to talk to them, and you just have to broaden your discussion into their other priorities and see. I mean, you don't want to go to a Republican district and start talking about gun rights. But if you talk about Shashtar, and that's why it's very important to research before you go in. You can't just go in cold turkey, but sometimes they will be receptive. And I actually, when I did my JD degree, I lived in an area like that, and you'd be shocked what education can do. Where I studied my undergrad law degree, the KKK was very active, and there was a lot of sentiment. And I had just started wearing the dastar during that time, the turban. So it took a lot of, you can go into a room and people will be shocked and they'll look at you and they'll be like, we've never seen someone like this. But once they get over that shock and they talk to you, you have to be open to teach them and teach them lovingly, of course, because people can change. I've seen even cold-hearted, racist change sometimes. So just like you're doing, education is the best thing. The Ku Klux Klan, the KKK, they're for the younger youth. They're a group of people who believe that they're white supremacists or people that believe they were very popular during the civil rights movement. But I see one more question in the chat. What's one legal reform you'd push for to protect the Sikh community and Sikh youth? So I think that, well, there are a few top ones. They're already being pushed for. Oh, yes. Thank you, Amrit, for adding that. Exactly. They do still exist, unfortunately, in some parts of the United States. So hate crimes is a big one. Transnational repression is a big one. But one of the biggest ones, I think, is independent education. And that's something I would push for, as well as protection of Gurdwaras. But right now, if we look at Sikh history, Sikhs have never been as safe physically as they are now. At the same time, Sikhs have never been as in danger ideologically as we are now. Both things are. Right now, most Sikhs are, thankfully, we have financial means. They're settled in countries that are pretty safe, except for some Sikhs in India, or in parts of India, they might still be in danger, or outside in other countries, but in Afghanistan. But for the most part, Sikhs are very well established. But unfortunately, the Sikh philosophy is very much under attack, and it's under attack not only from outside sources, but even from some of our own ignorance. There's a lot of people aren't connecting to Gurbani the way they should. And a lot of people don't understand Gurbani, and that's beyond me, because how can you bow down to something that you don't know the meaning of? That your bowing cannot, it can be sincere. Okay, this is my guru, I have faith, but why is it your guru? Do you believe what it teaches? Do you know what it teaches? Or is it just because, okay, my parents told me? So it's very important that I think Sikhs connect with Gurbani. So I think the biggest dangers we're taking care of, because people, groups are advocating, we got to continue that. We got to continue protecting our rights. But we have to have a balance also of protecting Sikh ideology, which is something I see that there's a lot of misinformation going around, and that's another one thing the congressman stands up against a lot is misinformation. And there are attacks from groups that want to, and just like it's not only a Sikh thing, it goes all over. Like, for example, with Russia and Ukraine, there's a lot of misinformation. With any political issue, you would see division and misinformation. You look under any Sikh photo on social media now, you see bots, and those bots will put comments. They will say, okay, some of them will say mean things like lassi, or anytime a Sikh does something, even if it's a video of a Sikh doing bot, there will be bots saying, okay, this is a Khalistani debate, and turn it into that or something like that. People will attack those ideologies, and then you'll see people try to defame Sikhs, or defame like Sikhs who have a certain view, and you will see people even in full Sikh garb, with their even dressed like Nihang Singhs, who will say things that are against Guru Granth Sahib. And the solution to combat misinformation is you got to spread the right information with sources. So, what's your legal rec on how to address name calling such as Khalistani, which people are using loosely and it brands Sikhs? Well, one thing we got to do is we have to fix we have to take a two-prong approach. When it happens, we have to call it out. We have to give people information. We have to fight against, this is an issue someone asked earlier about how to get other members on. Misinformation is an issue that many Congress members are fighting, and it's misinformation against other things. So you could look into those bills and lobby those Congress members or talk to them and say, we agree with this, information needs to be verified. There are laws out there looking for verifiable. But another, and how should we define Khalistani to others? Well, one of the things we have to do, and I think that getting to the heart of it is Guru Granth Sahib uses a beautiful word called Halimi Raj, which is the kingdom of compassion. And we have a lot of people, like I'll give you an example. We have a lot of people who unfortunately they'll sit in our at our institutions and they'll say things that are just, I'll give you an example. Some people might think that, okay, this is a small issue, but one of the beautiful things about Sikhi is the open-mindedness and the gender equality and everything. So when you look at Vara by Gurdas Ji, and again, I might say this a billion times, but you have to get back to the roots. You got to get back to Guru Granth Sahib and the Vara. Any other historical sources should be compared against our foundation sources and against Guru Granth Sahib. But when we look at Guru Granth Sahib, it tells us that clothes have no bearing on how religious a person is. And there's even a line that says Guru Nanak Dev Ji wore the clothes of the world in Vara by Gurdas Ji when he went to Kartarpur Sahib. And today you have people threatening to, I mean, online, some of the hatred, you'll have Nihang Singhs. If someone wears jeans or something and they have a dastar, especially, Bibia, there will be really rude comments and things like that. And those are using to prove, okay, this is extremism. This is what Khalistan stands for. And not only is it going to other people, but it's going back to our youth as well. And then you have people who are just, and a lot of it is defamation. There was someone in Canada recently, they wore a turban, they commit a crime and they chose to wear a turban, even though they weren't of a Sikh background. They chose to wear a turban for their mugshot. So calling those people out, having your own media, making it known that this is going on, that's one way to combat it. But also, you got to get rid of the elements that are extremists from your own community as well. And the only way to do that is if moderate people get educated and tell them, no, this is not what the Sikh faith is. This is all, the toxicness of Indian culture. And that's something we're not doing, unfortunately. A lot of that toxicness is creeping into just like, I mentioned earlier, the Gurbani literally says Jahan Gyan Tat Dharam Hai, right? And you have people going against. So that's my advice. Does that answer your question?
I was just, looking actually for, I've just heard a lot of negativity, people, like a community around you that, you have a conversation about faith and people talking about Jesus as the Son of God, and they don't want to acknowledge anything else. And then they say, well, aren't Sikhs Khalistanis? And it's such a negative label. And I think I'm not sure what the correct way of defining that is, obviously, because
Sure.
it's connected to criminals and terrorists, and obviously, they want a separate state. Way back when it was promised, and then it was denied, and they've been fighting ever since. But now, the fight for it is
Yeah. So
basically, trying to get acknowledgement, basically, and in the meantime, people have gone maybe in the wrong direction, and so now these nasty labels have come about. And so, when someone says, "Oh, you're a Khalistani," how do you correct that then? What do you
sure.
tell them?
And I just put my email address in the chat for everyone. I do have to go to another meeting in a couple of minutes. I'll just answer that question. But if anyone wants to follow up, feel free to email me anytime. But my thing is, you have to change the narrative. And I would right now, one thing is there's a very limited amount of violence that has been done by these groups of people that has been proven. So you have to bring that out. It's more of a freedom of speech issue. But the community has to have one voice that any violence done in the name of, Khalistan or anything, that's not what it's about, or the movement. And you have to get people on board. And at the end of the day, it's education. There are going to be always people who don't want to be educated. And when it comes to, interfaith stuff, you can pull out quotes, and I'm happy to touch base on this later too, because I do have to rush, but you can pull out quotes from Guru Granth Sahib, which show like the religious tolerance in Gurbani isn't found anywhere else. And you have these, I mean, just yesterday, you have this, what messages is sending you these hukamnamas? Like, I do believe if, for me as a religious person, I'd want to marry a religious Gursikh person, right? And my fiance thankfully is, but people, that's not something Guru Granth Sahib forces. And when you have these hukamnama that say women should do that, and from Hazur Sahib, which most people don't know isn't even an authority. So I would say push back at education. There's no other answer. You got to push back against the criticizing other faiths and bring the interfaith message up front, because at the end of the day, Sikhism was not built on criticizing any faith. It's the most inclusive, but the political message has to change and the misinformation. And I do have to go, but thank you all for your
Thank you.
questions. You're
Yes,
welcome.
I want to keep you, but thank you so much for your time and your insights and
You're very welcome. I'm very happy to. And if you ever want to have a meeting or come, we are very happy to work with United Sikhs and other Sikh groups. We do have a beautiful Sikh community in New York's 3rd District, which many of you are part of. So I'm very glad. And I agree with Amrit S. I don't know if that's Banji or Paji, but
Yes, and
education. Yeah, and I'll just say the last thing, education based on Gurbani. It can't be if we're spreading
agree.
misinformation, that's just as dangerous as,
Mhm.
not having any information, having the wrong information. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, and
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. And as the youth, the last thing I'll say, it's the moderate people that have to be standing up, because if you don't have your voice heard, extremists are going to be heard. So that's what that's a big thing I have to say. But thank you all. It was very wonderful meeting with you. Have a great rest of your week and enjoy the Advocacy Summit.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right, and everyone, especially with those points about understanding Gurbani as crucial to the kind of work that Dejkar and Benji does in the congressional office and beyond. It's a reminder of how spiritual grounding and service go hand in hand with advocacy. And with that, we are thrilled to welcome back our next guest, Kanwaljit Singh, CEO of Falcon Pride, who will be speaking on Gurbani, particularly as it pertains to the principle of seva. But before we move into that session, Inderjeet, who spoke earlier with the United States team, will offer a few brief closing remarks. So you can take a quick stretch break during that time, but I'd like to give the floor back to Inderjeet Buji.
Yes, thank you so much, Simran. So I just wanted to give closing remarks in terms of uh, thank you to all the participants who attended the 2025 Sikh Summit. Please, give us feedback on what you like the most, which session you like the most, and how like United Sikhs can improve this summit. I'm sure there's always room to grow, and I'm sure there's always we can learn. So please send us suggestions if you want to have a particular speaker at next year's summit, or even if you have any ideas, like if you want to put together give us the idea of putting together like a particular seminar or like a talk that covers a particular topic, or like a particular time period in history. Please, you could reach out to us. Simran, I would request if you could put down the United Sikhs email in the chat, so all the participants, they could reach out to us. We also, if you follow us on social media, particularly Instagram, you could always send us a DM. Our social media team is always on, and we monitor and we make sure to respond to the messages that we get. Once again, thank you so much for attending the 2025 Sikh Summit. Thank you so much to the entire team for putting this together. Thank you, everyone. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Unmute, please.
Thank you. Apologies. With that, I would love to welcome back Anwaljit Singh Ji. And for this session, I really encourage you all to come off of mute whenever and please participate. Do not be shy. And thank you again for coming back.
Thank you once again, United Sikhs and Simran, Inderjeet, Bhupinder. It's hard. I have too much experience. Whenever youth sees a white beard, again lecture, no more. But I was amazed the other day. You guys listen to it. It's not what I am saying. I'm just telling you, relating you whatever our guru has has a teachings in the Guru Granth Sahib, has taught us as a Sikh. We are all Sikhs. In the past week, it has been a week, I understand that you've been loaded up with lots of thoughts of and speakers, law and justice, civil and human rights, advocacy, public policy and governance, global humanitarian aid. And you guys must have your notes loaded up. Today, again, towards a conclusion, I'm glad, also thankful to the organization as well and the administrators that you have introduced Gurbani as one of the topic. But matter of fact, as Tejkar was telling, that Gurbani should have been the prime of his eye. Because a bani jo jiyo jane, tis antar rave har nama. If someone understands Gurbani from and within, the Naam dwells in him or her. That's what Gurbani tells us. But anyways, they say, Der Ahmad, Durust Ahmad, is better to me late than never. Gurbani is top-notch. Again, it's filled with, brimmed with the teachings. Many of us might be listening to the verses, or they might be singing or reading, because it's a conversation. Gurbani, reading, singing, listening, hearing. It leads to a conversation with God, with Vaiguruji. It doesn't matter whether I know it or don't know it, the underlying thoughts. And whenever I do that, the first step is I have to understand that. Having understood, I have to accept it. Manan. Sunaya, manya. Man kita pao. I got attached with Gurbani. And after acceptance, I have to make it a part and parcel of my life. If that happens, I am heading the path of Satyara. Kim Satyara hoye, Kim Kudatapa. Today's session, we are starting with, just update me, how much time do we have? Because there was a communication gap. I don't want to. It's an hour?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You have 2 more.
Thank you. So, Gurbani says, I'm taking some excerpts. It marg chale paayade gur kahe sukar kamaye jiyo. Tyage man ki matdi visare duja pao jiyo. Yon paame har dar savda na lage tatti vao jiyo. Mere pyare, mere prava, mere dost, if at all you are heading towards this path of Satyara, you do three things. Keep in mind, and you have to mull over it. Time and again. One, gur kahe so kar kamai je. To be spiritually illuminated, elevated, whatever Guru says, do that. And I kind of not believe that, oh, we don't understand language. Every one of you, look back. As a child, our grandfathers were no English, just Punjabi. Our dad and mom brought them here for visit or permanent resident. And we didn't speak a word of Punjabi. But we were so diligent, intelligent, that mom ne कहना, okay, Jan Kaval, grandma nu puch ke aa cha peeni hai? Go ask grandma cha peeni hai. And I would go, grandma, mama puchda cha peeni hai? So broken Punjabi, we would speak. Necessity is the mother of invention. We used to do that. So, notwithstanding the fact that Gur kahe so kar, only those things that Guru tells. Then, tyage man ki matadi. Second thing, ideology of yourself. I know. Usually, it's everyone's experience that a little kid, 3, 4, 5 years, busy in the chat or cartoon. Okay, Simran, look, what I'm gonna say. I know. So they're used to, the kids are used to. Okay, tell me, what was I gonna say? I don't know. It's day in and out. That's the reason. Tyage man ki. If we get a chance, we'll reiterate it on this, but I'll go a little quicker. Tyage man ki mat. Give up the ideology of yourself. Visare duja pao jiyo. Forget about the inclination towards others. Duja pao. Duja pao na they live lagan. It doesn't let you concentrate. The inclination. That's the reason Guru Sahib used one and beyond or before one. Before is nothing, beyond nothing. Duja is other than. Oneness, I-ness, otherness. Otherness and I-ness is equal to godlessness. So we have to understand. If I am able to do these three, perform these three ways, Gur kahe sukar, tyage man ki mat, visare duja pao, iyon paave hardar savda na lage tatti vaojo, your goal is achieved. This is what Gurbani is telling me. Now, in Gurbani, in the Guru has his background, and we read history too. So it reminded me of 1963 S. Pearl Buck. You might have known about her. She was a Nobel laureate on good earth. She came to India, asked a question to the Sikhs. There are many Sikh youth who do not follow their religion or religious values. She called them, they were the derailed organ of Sikhism. Is there a way to bring them back or to guide them? And the national scholar of Sikhism back then was Sirdar Kapoor Singh, ICS, and who was a later member of parliament. He said, yes, certainly there is a way. You put Guru Granth Sahib on one of their hands and their history on the other hand, they'll come back. That means if it doesn't matter if I don't understand Punjabi or Gurmukhi or Gurbani. There are ways though nowadays. All the apps are there. But even if I get a glimpse of the history, I can still make Gurbani, Guru, history my pole star for the life. And today is a short time we're gonna do. Let's look back in the history. Because our Guru, as per Gurbani, पूरे का किया सब किछ पूरा, घट वध किछ ना है. The Guru was complete. I am incomplete. We are all incomplete. But Guru is complete, was complete. And his deeds, whatever he's done, is complete. There is no difference at all in his completion. Keeping that in mind, we're gonna talk about now youth. We are just starting our careers. Many of us might, some people of you might have been a little ahead. When I say we, I'm putting myself in your shoes, although I'm done with everything. So we'll start every guru, take a glimpse from his life and apply it to my endeavors. And please pardon me if I over or underestimate anyone, because I've been there, done that. So my purpose is not to offend you. My purpose is to share the knowledge. You don't have to agree with me also. It's not a must for you. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's message, truth and justice above all. There are so many teachings, but we are taking just one. Now, we will go instance, because we are curious and inquisitive. Instances when questioned by the Nawab and Qazi after disappearing in the river for 3 days, Guru Nanak declared, Na ko Hindu, na Musalman. There is no Hindu, no Muslim. That's one instance. And we are not going to details. They said, okay, if you have that belief, come on and let's do namaz and the whole 9-yard story. We're not getting into that. Just one, the message, there is no Hindu, no Muslim. The guidance for advocates, today's advocates, speak truth to power fearlessly. Uphold secular and constitutional values over communal or identity-based biases. Promote universal justice, not divisive ideologies. Making sense? Okay. One more teaching. I couldn't hold myself off for the other one. Otherwise, I was going with the one teaching, one stance. Such sunaisi, such ki bela. That's what Guru Nanak uttered sometimes. I speak the truth at the right time. Sach ki bani Nanak aake, sach sunaisi, sach ki bela. Stand firmly now. Today's youth, you guys, stand firmly for truth and righteousness, even when it's inconvenient. An advocate should champion equality and justice, not just legality. Guru Angad. Discipline and humility and integrity. Instance, Guruji, Guru Angad Dev Ji devoted himself to serving Guru Nanak before being chosen as successor. Pai Lehna Ji, I should said Pai Lehna Ji, and became Guru Angad. He emphasized self-discipline and moral living. So much so, it is in the history, it says he was tested 12 or 14 times. But I'm taking just 2 instances. He cleaned the Sangat's shoes, went to the one, and then second, went to the mud to pick up a metal pitcher on when Guru Nanak wanted him. The kids, the sons refused, but Pai Lehna Ji went. Didn't care for his white clothes. He was a rich man, wealthy man. He didn't care for his white clothes, lived in humility. Guidance for the advocates. Develop ethical habits. Let your work be disciplined, principled, and free of corruption. Must practice humility despite knowledge or position. True leadership in law comes from serving society, not just personal gain. Discipline and dedication to legal ethics are essential. Guru Amar Das Ji. Equality before law. Instituted Langar Community Kitchen, where everyone from emperor to servant must sit together to eat, no matter if it was the Emperor Akbar. We know the history. Needless to repeat. Guidance. Justice must treat all people equality, regardless of status. A reminder to fight for the marginalized, ensure access to justice for all. We keep on asking ourselves, taking the notes down and asking ourselves, is it applicable to me? Am I doing it? Or not applicable? I'm not doing it. It's not my cup of tea. Guru Ram Das Ji, service to society. Instance, Seva Kart. Guru Ram Das Ji's one of the part of the verse is, Seva Karat Hoye Nehkami, Tisko Hot Parapat Swami. Do selfless service without any rewards desire. What to talk of rewards? I don't have to desire even while serving. Founded Amritsar, promoted inclusive community building, and he preached Gursikha Ikko Pyar, Gurmitta Putta Paiya. Love equally well like friends, children, and siblings. Am I? I'm just, that's my habit, that ask yourself. Now, the guidance, listen compassionately to clients, especially the voiceless, who are not heard of. Practice your profession as a form of service to society. Use your legal skills to build and uplift communities. Encourage peaceful resolution of disputes and public service advocating. Guru Arjan, sacrifice and justice. Instance, refused to change Gurbani under Mughal pressure, was tortured and martyred, first martyr in Sikh history. Guru Arjan was the first martyr. He upheld truth over tyranny. Guidance, stand firm for the truth and constitutional rights, even under threat. Am I? Remain principled under pressure, remain principled under pressure, defending justice with integrity. Be prepared to stand alone for justice if needs to be. Sometimes truth comes at a cost, but it must never be compromised. Guru Nanak said, "Jao tao prem khelan ka chao, sir tar tali gali moria." That doesn't mean that I have to behead myself first. This, the top story. This I have to give to my guru. Should I continue or is too boring?
No, continue.
Angie? Oh, okay.
Continue.
Thank you. Guru Har Gobind Sahib Ji, Miri Piri, temporal and spiritual authority. He wore two swords, Miri, that's his worldly power, and Piri is a spiritual authority. What does I get from this? Law must blend worldly justice with the moral integrity. Yeah, I didn't think about it. Balance professional skill with spiritual conscience. Maintain a balance between a law, that is power, and conscience, ethics. Use your knowledge responsibly. Be both warrior and saint in the courtroom. In Gurbani, there is a saying, "Par ka bura na rakho cheet, tumko dukh nahi pai meet." Oh, my dear, don't think bad about others. Don't intend to do bad. If you do this, tumko dukh nahi pai meet. You won't be suffered at all. Then, Har Rai Ji. Compassion, conflict, instance, maintained a peaceful nature even when tested politically. Sent medicines to Dara Shikoh. Who was Dara Shikoh? He was then Emperor's Aurangzeb's brother. And he had done mutiny to Aurangzeb. And he got injured in the war. And he came to Har Rai Ji, and he provided him the medicine and sent him. Keep sending him. That's now. What do I get? Practice compassion and professionalism even in adversarial settings, adverse circumstances. Promote healing justice, restorative, not just punitive. Do I understand that? Approach justice with compassion, not vengeance. Also, be mindful of environmental justice, I have to be, and social responsibility. Guru Harkishan Ji, a child, we call him. No, he was Guru. Had the same powers, Jot and Jugat, as his predecessors. Justice with innocence, instance, as a child he healed and served the sick in Delhi during a smallpox epidemic. Guidance. Let innocence and purity of intent guide your actions. Be of service to the vulnerable, especially those facing systematic injustice. Even the youngest or the smallest voice can bring change. So don't hush up your voice. Show empathy in advocacy, especially during crisis. Guru Tegh Bahadur. If many of us like his shloks, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਬੜੇ ਚੰਗੇ ਲੱਗਦੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਸ਼ਲੋਕ ਪੜ੍ਹੀਦੇ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਮੈਂ ਗਾਣਾ ਹੁਣਾ ਤੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗਾਇਆ ਵੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ। One of his shloks says, ਭੈ ਕਾਹੂ ਕੋ ਦੇਤ ਨ ਤੇ ਨਾ ਭੈ ਮਾਨਤ ਆਣ ਕਹੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਸੁਨ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਗਿਆਨੀ ਤਾਹੇ ਬਖਾਨ। Fear not anyone nor frighten anyone. He was defender of religious freedom. He professed liberty of belief. That's the gist. Guidance. Defend fundamental rights and freedoms, including freedom of speech, conscience, and belief. Even for those you disagree with, even if they don't affect your personality, even if they don't affect you personally, still be the voice of voiceless minorities. This is highlighted. Then, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, creator of the Khalsa, fearless justice, when all means to settle a matter fail, it is righteous to raise the sword. Chunkar az hamash hilate dargujasht, alalast burdan bacham shiredast. Instance, created the Khalsa to stand against tyranny, encouraging Sikhs to become saint soldiers, Sant Sipahi. Guidance, stand fearlessly against injustice, corruption, and oppression. Be a protector of the weak and challenge tyranny through lawful means. Combine spiritual strength and legal courage. Promote dignity, fairness, and discipline in the legal system. I wished if I could have displayed it, but last time I had a problem that being a non-multitasker person, I couldn't see the chat. So there is a small, I will send it to Bhupender, Indrajit, whosoever. There is a small kind of note that tells us one keynote. Guru Nanak Sahib Ji, stand firmly for truth. I mean, his message in one line in these 10 gurus. Then there is a shabad that I would like to. Is it okay if I turn on the share the screen now for that shabad? I want everyone should look at it. Can I?
Yes, if you're able to. If not, we can give you co-host rights. But go ahead and give
Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's make you co-host right now. There you go.
I'll be blind to the chat, please. Keep that in mind.
Okay.
Oh, this is the that one key screen that you might be able to copy it from the record. Now, what we were talking about is parharna, lob, chut, nind, and this is introspective and retrospective. And just one joke. If he kart gudari, mrig trishna as mithya mithi, a take mane sadhari. साकत की अवरदा जाए बिरथारी, जैसे कागद के पार मूसा टूक गवावत, काम नहीं गावारी। रहाओ। कर कृपा पार ब्रह्म स्वामी ये बंधन छुटकारी, बूढ़त अंध नानक प्रभ काढ़त, साध जना संगारी। Now, let's go into it. Because as Tejkan was telling, that if we don't understand Gurbani, is useless. And that's the reason we never read it. I pray and I wish that from these sessions, if anyone take home is that I have to understand Guru Granth. Not the whole, one at a time, one Shabad at a time. Imagine if I do one line a day, at the end of the year, I would have 360. So the faithless cynic Manmukh passes his life uselessly. Now I have to categorize myself, which category I fall, Gurmukh or Manmukh. Gurmukh is not an adjective, mind you. It's a verb. It has come kakhe nu siari, choti matra, means it's a verb. Jida mu guru wala, he who is facing Guruji or who is listening to Guruji. So Manmukh passes his life uselessly, as if the analogy is, the example is very beautiful. He's like the mouse gnawing away at the pile of paper, shredding it and making it to the poor wretch. A paper comes useless. A book worth thousands of dollars becomes useless if he gnaws it, the mouse. But poor guy, he doesn't understand anything. He's expert in knowing. ਇਹਨੂੰ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਚ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਟੁਕਣਾ. Am I that kind of person? I read a lot. Nothing is retained. I have to ask. The first stand, we go Rahau every time of every Shabad because Rahau is the central idea, the main pivot of the thought. The first line is Par harna log jhoot nind ivhi kart gudari, Mrik Trishna aas mithya mithi e tek manai sadhari. Stealing from others, my habits. Acting in greed, lying and slandering. The Manmukh passes his life. Mrik Trishna aas mithya mithi e tek manai sadhari. The Manmukh hopes for false mirages. Oh, this time I'll do it. Oh, next time I'll do it. Pretending to believe they are sweet. Those thoughts. Remember we talked last time, whatever I am, personality, behind it is a habit. Behind the habits, action. I keep on doing the action, becomes my habit, hence becomes my personality. Behind the action is thought. Thoughts, actions, habits, personality. That's the sequence. I treat Guru Nanak as a biggest psychiatrist. And these are the founding principles of personality that we've been taught, and I've been practicing it. Now, they say a common man takes 50 to 70,000 thoughts in a day, which comes down to sometimes hundreds in a second. That's how Vaheguruji has built this man. So, Mrik Trishna aas mithya mithi e tek manai sadhari. He hopes for false mirages. pretending to believe they are sweet, he always mulls over these thoughts. That's the thing. फिर कर कृपा पार ब्रह्म स्वामी ए बंधन छुटकारी. My Lord, release me from these bonds. Mercy on me. These bonds that my mind keeps following my thoughts. Then we'll talk a little bit more. Budat and Nanak Prabh Kadat Sad Jana Sangari. Budat and Nanak Prabh Kadat Sad Jana Sangari. Blinded, folded with Maya, I have been blinded. Do I agree with it? I'm blindfolded with Maya. Agreed with it? So am I blind? Guruji's blind is not who doesn't have the vision. As per Gurbani's philosophy, अंधे से ना आँखियाँ जिन मुख लोयन नाहि. Don't call those people blind who don't have vision or eyes, who can't see. अंधे से ही नानका जे खस्मों को थे जाएं. Guru Nanak says those are the blind people who are unaware of the presence of the Lord. They are blind. So that is blindfolded. If I am blindfolded with Maya, I am Anna. We are sinking, O Nanak, God save them, uniting with the Sat Sangat, the company of Guru. Sakat kiya varda, jai virthari. जो कागज जैसे कागज के पार मूसा टूक गवावत काम नहीं गवारी. Now I have to think about that. Is that so? And I said that the first where we started from, that itmarg chale paide, we need to go a little deeper into it. I didn't know because I was told 45 minutes. That's the reason. Now we have time. We can utilize it. Now, itmarg chale paide, again, the prologue and epilogue are the same. Itmarg chalne paide, gur kahe sukar kamai jiyo. If you want to walk on the spiritual path, to become satyar, do only that work which Guru tells you to do. Now, am I doing it? The problem is that whenever I read Gurbani, I do not go behind the lines. Whereas here, born and raised here, I've been taught, read the lines, read between the lines, read behind the lines. You keep on reading, you'd be able to understand, relate to it, and then behind the lines. The gistic approach. Now, do I know that? Have I ever done one single thing, whatever Guru has taught me to? Or someone has told me that Guru has said that? Wrong approach. Being an attorney, if I am told this is the judgment the judge has given, here, the typing version, I would say no. He has to give this judgment in the presence of the opponent and myself. I won't believe it. But here, whosoever Tom, Dick, and Harry told me, oh, Baba ji, mere varge chitti dadiye, Parcharak, Tejkaran was mentioning it, the preachers, those, although I know the theory, basically, that perform before you preach. I didn't care for whether they have performed or not. We just listen to the preaching. That's why Gur kahe sokar. Always try to listen from the horse's mouth. Then, tyage man ki matadi. Ideology of yourself. I, me and mine. Mera ek khayal hai. Mainu ye pata hai. Main janna. Yeah. I've been there, done that. No. That has to be given up. Okay. Tyagna ki hai ki actual de vich. What is abandoning? Take an example from the material world. I had a shirt bought from Neiman Marcus. Man, it was just the same every time, fresh look, 5 years. And then my wife said, now get rid of it. It's been 5 years. You don't have any shirts. I said, okay, give it to Salvation. Whenever, after that, whenever I go find the same plaid, same design, same stripes, I say, oh, that was the shirt, man. I can't get that shirt ever. Have I abandoned? No. I'm not making it interactive because I still remember. So the thought which is coming back to bother me or seduce me, I have not abandoned. So I have to be very careful. That thought, if I abandoned, I have erased from my SIM card the memory set. Visare duja pao jiyo. Bhul gaya. What is forgetting? Oh man, it's 12, it's 4:15. I forgot. I was to close at 12. That is forgetting. That you get swayed away with the moment. And duja pao is inclination towards others. No. I don't believe in anything. My grandma, she was pious, a good soul. I believe her. Mind you, Guru to baghair, other than any person other than the Guru, anyone other than one Onkar is a duja. Inclination towards him is not. So, iyon paਵੇਂ har darsavada na lage tatti vaojiyo. Thus, you shall obtain the blessed state of vision of darshan, and hot winds of materialism will not come near you. That's where my time finishes.
Thank you so much, Kanwaljit ji.
Did I bore you?
No, no, I think it beautifully complements everything that we've gone over all week. We can't thank you enough for your time and for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Eh bidat teri datar. Shukar to Vaheguru ji.
Guruji. And Bhupinder, Hardyal Birji, we just heard. Oh, yes. Sorry, we have a request for your contact information. If you have an email address that we could put in the chat for our participants.
Okay. See, multitask? I hate that.
I understand.
No, just kidding.
And then Hardyal Birji, Program Director of United Sikhs, unfortunately could not be here today, but on his behalf, we wanted to give closing remarks as we conclude the summit. So I will, in a few moments, thank you so much for your email address, turn it over to Bhupinder Banji. And thank you again, Kanwaljit ji.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vaheguru ji Khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki Fateh.
So before we conclude and we hear the last remaining marks, I just wanted to again thank everyone for coming. And not only that, quick reminder for that survey that we'll be posting in the chat once again. Another reminder to create any type of social media content. for this summit. And remember, it's a $50 gift card. So if you guys are interested, want to create some reels, some TikToks, whatever, $50 is up for grabs. So please do that. And once again, thank you all for coming. And so a message on behalf of United Sikhs. As we close this Sikh Summit, we must face the hard truths before us. Our Panth stands at a crossroads. Our youth are battling drugs, depression, and the erosion of identity. Hate crimes and discrimination against Sikhs are rising across the globe. Our rights and freedoms are challenged in courts and parliaments. And within our own community, divisions and apathy threaten the strength of our collective voice. These are not distant issues. They are here, now, pressing on us every single day. But history reminds us that the Khalsa was forged in moments just like this. Guru Nanak Sahib showed us how to challenge injustice with wisdom, and Guru Gobind Singh Ji transformed ordinary people into extraordinary guardians. But how do we begin? We start by organizing, forming working groups across regions, engaging our youth in meaningful seva, training our professionals to advocate in courts and legislatures, and creating safe spaces where no Sikh feels unheard or unsupported. United Sikhs will provide the platforms, but it's your hands, your voices, and your time that will transform vision into action. This is our clarion call. Let us rally as one Panth, regardless of borders, backgrounds, or personal differences, and take ownership of our future. Sign up, volunteer, contribute, mentor, and advocate. This is how we honor our gurus, not with words alone, but with decisive action. Together, we can carry forward their mission and ensure a thriving, fearless, united Panth for our generations to come. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Muted.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you so much, Bhupinder Benji. And thank you all once again for joining our 2025 Sikh Summit. And be sure to stay in contact. And as Bhupinder said, please take a few minutes to fill out the survey and to submit to the $50 gift card raffle. Both links are in the chat right now.
Yes, just wanted to mention, and please also follow us on Instagram and other social media accounts just to stay up to date and to support. You can go to @UnitedSikhs. Thank you.